Don't you just love to go grocery shopping, finding a parking place, fighting the crowd, navigating all those aisles, looking for the items on your shopping list, waiting at the checkout line, dealing with the cart afterwards? Well, some people do like grocery shopping, many do. Yes, food shopping is part of the Buy Nothing Rebellion. This is episode 2, part 2 of the Buy Nothing movement about grocery shopping. In this series about the Buy Nothing movement, I'm the Crabby Curator, and I'm trying to bring some historical perspective to what brought us to where we are today. I'll be painting this picture in very broad strokes because there's so much to the story. Now, another big area of this is who owns the chain. The answers vary very widely. Some chains are family owned or closely held, some are publicly traded, some are a mix, some are owned by publicly traded European corporations. Some are owned by corporations in Europe that are privately held, like, for example, Aldi. Some are employee-owned, either partially or totally, and unfortunately, some are owned by private equity firms. This is a big topic worthy of a talk in its own right, so I'll make just a few points here. Publix, a popular chain with stores mostly in the Southeast, is considered very pricey by both shoppers. However, the chain is employee-owned, and consequently, the employees are well paid, receive good benefits, they have a living wage, they receive stock participation after a number of years, and they even can receive a pension. Many chains don't go anywhere this far. Now, Publix is more expensive than most chains. On the other hand, Costco is also a high-paying employer with excellent benefits and 401k plans, yet they are a lot cheaper, but they do get to make up for it in volume. Winco is another employee-owned supermarket chain that is even more generous with its employees. Yet their prices are competitive mainly because they have a no-frills operation. The key here is that they don't accept credit cards. They don't have to pay the 3 or 4% to the credit card operation, and while 3 or 4% might not sound like much, in a low-margin operation like a supermarket chain, where the profit margins might be 1 or 2%, that percentage of payout makes a big difference. So you save a few bucks by shopping at Winco and paying cash. There are also no frills. All the stuff is in boxes the way Aldi's is, and you fish your stuff out of a carton instead of having it placed neatly on a shelf. On the other hand, Albertsons is captive to a private equity firm, Cerberus. They are carrying a lot of debt, which was used to pay off the investors. Quality suffered across the board. This also affects the other chains that are owned by Albertsons, like Safeway, Vons, and Shaw's. This image shows the chains that they own underneath. They've been a very acquisitive firm over the years as well. Let's look at some alternatives. You don't have to buy at the supermarkets or the hypermarkets. There are other alternatives available, including the old ones like the mom and pop stores. One thing we've seen a rise in are firms that you order online and they deliver it to your door, and they'll sell you the raw materials like meats, fish, or whatever. These include companies like Thrive Market, Butcher Box, and Wild Alaskan Salmon. There are also delivery services that offer semi-prepared meals like Factor and Blue Apron. All you have to do is follow the instructions that come with the meal, which is partially prepared for you, and cook it up yourself. You do pay a premium for these services, but if your time is tight, this might be a good solution for you. These do run into money, but these are certainly more convenient than fighting the crowd in the big box store if you're a busy individual or family. Also, ever since COVID, we've been able to rely on delivery services from actual restaurants, with companies like Grubhub, DoorDash, and even Uber able to bring you meals from your favorite restaurants. This has become very popular in recent years after COVID, but lately the prices for the delivery part of it have become pretty exorbitant, and now people are beginning to rebel against that too. The supermarkets have also been undergoing transformations. The very large supermarkets that we're accustomed to have been facing new competition from stores that have a smaller footprint, stores like Trader Joe's and Aldi. Let's return to that tug of war between supermarkets and suppliers. What has grown the most in the larger and larger supermarkets? Currently, we do have more fruits and vegetables, more meats, more dairy, all good, but the largest growth has been the breakfast aisle, the soft drink aisle, the snack aisle, and a lot of other things that aren't that good for you. This can partially be explained by that agreement between the producers and the supermarkets to get in those high profit margin items. They can both agree that it's worth their while to offer more of these and enjoy the profits that come from it. But these foods are often processed or even highly processed. These products have sugar, salt, fat, long ingredient lists, and so forth. And if you're concerned about the health of you and your family, you want to take a look at these and avoid the worst offenders. So an old trick, and you probably know this trick, and it's not new, is called ringing the perimeter or ringing the store. What you do is you do most of your shopping around the outer walls of the supermarket. You will hit the deli department, the meat department, the fish department, the produce section, the dairy section, all the major staples you probably want to buy. Avoid the aisles where all the high profit margin items are located and where you can save money by not buying them. Of course, you can't always avoid going down the aisles. You might need to buy a jar of mustard or some dishwashing liquid, so those aisles are not necessarily off limits. Another section that's grown enormously is the frozen food section. One good shopping tip is that buying frozen vegetables is usually a good idea. They're picked at the peak of freshness and then frozen, and this freshness is preserved by the freezing process. Almost always the freshness is going to be much better in a frozen food vegetable than that same vegetable in a can. Now, this is okay for vegetables and fruits, but not necessarily a good idea for things like frozen pizzas, frozen entrees, frozen desserts, and other time-saving foods. These can vary widely in quality, so you want to read the ingredient list and check out food reviews before you pick up a particular frozen pizza or frozen entree. Now let's look at Aldi. Aldi has been a major game changer in the supermarket landscape. First of all, not everything you want to buy is necessarily going to be available when you shop at Aldi's. They don't claim to have everything you want all the time, but their prices are very competitive and genuinely lower, often even beating Walmart's prices. Where they shine is in the radical reduction in the number of those other brands that you find inside the aisles. Instead of offering 100 different brands of breakfast cereal, they'll offer just a handful of their own brands for things like your basic cornflakes, Cheerios, Raisin Bran, and so forth. This is true for many of the product categories in that store. This is called vertical integration, and they do it very, very well. They manufacture or have manufactured the products they sell in the store. They don't necessarily make them all. The ones they do are contracted out to trusted suppliers. Their products are just as good most of the time as the actual name brands, but are priced far cheaper. This is because some of those items are made in the same factories that make those name brands. Aldi's is also no frills. Bring your own bags, bag your own groceries, and don't forget to bring a quarter to rent the shopping cart. As a result, Aldi's can offer shoppers substantially the same items as everybody else, but for less. What you don't get is a choice in many items. If you're happy with the store offering, you'll do fine and you'll save quite a bit of money. Too much choice can be debilitating. As a friend of mine once commented, we are paralyzed by a plethora of possibilities. At the other end of the scale is Costco, who does much of the same thing with their Kirkland signature brands. They are very often going to equal or exceed the same name brand offerings. Now, it's true that most supermarkets also offer their own in-store brands, but in my experience, those are often not as good as the name brands that they are an alternative to. Aldi's and Kirkland Signature, on the other hand, do meet the same quality standards for many of the products as the ones that are name brands. Aldi's has taken this to a new level, as has Costco. Since Aldi's doesn't always have everything you want, smart shoppers have learned to purchase the bulk of items they want to buy first at Aldi's and then buy the remaining items at a more expensive store. Another kind of smaller footprint store is Trader Joe's. Trader Joe's has been remarkably successful because they've built a very loyal, some would say fanatical fan base who absolutely love their products. Again, like Aldi's, they offer a lot of Trader Joe's branded products and far fewer of the mainstream brands. Now, this can only work, and this is true for both Aldi's and Trader Joe's, if they keep up the quality level. This is especially true for the frozen foods offered at Trader Joe's, whose frozen burritos are an absolute landmark. This is a caution for stores like this. You live and buy by the quality of your in-store brands. If those deteriorate, so might your customer base. So as long as Trader Joe's and Aldi's continue to make great in-store products, people will continue to frequent them. Meanwhile, what about those mom and pop stores? While the mom and pop stores are under extreme competitive pressure, we cannot count them out. They have pivoted, often serving specialty and often premium priced niches. Where I live, there are stores selling gourmet foods imported from Europe, a store devoted to top quality olive oils and vinegars, a store featuring foods from Germany, even a store that sells their own homegrown mushrooms. It is possible for a small shop to operate in this environment if they can find a successful niche and a customer base for what they offer. By taking care of the niche, they can prosper. And it doesn't have to be fancy gourmet food either. Ethnic markets of all kinds have been springing up in the United States for decades now. There are Asian markets, Lebanese markets, Mexican markets, and so forth. If you've never set foot in one, give it a try. You'll be amazed at what they offer and how good the prices can be. Notice I haven't spoken too much about what the food producers and manufacturers have been up to. That's a whole nother talk for another time. In the end, the good news is that, except for persistent high prices and the occasional shady practice, we do have a lot of options for food shopping with an important caveat. This sort of access varies widely, based mostly on socioeconomic factors. Some urban centers and thinly settled rural areas suffer from a lack of choices, sometimes called a food desert. People there need to spend a lot of time and travel long distances to be able to go shopping. And there are no easy solutions for this. This is a thing that, as a society, we really should address better than we are. To wrap up, the grocery shopping landscape is undergoing a lot of change, some of it actually positive. Aldi in particular is pointing the way to a new kind of market, smaller, no frills, vertically integrated, with fewer choices for shoppers to make. Last year, Aldi acquired Winn-Dixie, a popular medium-level chain mostly located in the South. What they seem to have in mind is to close a given Winn-Dixie store as Winn-Dixie and reopen it as an Aldi. As part of this, they would necessarily reduce the store's footprint, which would free up floor space to the left and right of the supermarket, where new storefronts can be put in for other kinds of businesses. That can be beneficial for the local community, both because you save money at Aldi's and because you can visit those little stores that open up afterwards. So all the news is not that bad, but you do need to keep on your toes. Do your research, keep an eye on the ratings, watch YouTube clips that rate the best and worst supermarket chains or the best and worst mayonnaise, for example, and read the labels before you put something into your cart. Be a smart shopper. Again, I'm the Krabby Curator. If you like this content, please smash the like button and consider subscribing to this channel. There'll be more videos about the Buy Nothing movement in the weeks and months ahead. Please stay tuned.